Hello, this is part two of my podcast. My name is Hanaa and I'll be presenting along with two guests of mine my paper about social media's influence on government and society and civil society. So please, you guys, introduce yourselves.
My name is Rag. I'm a computer scientist, and I know some stuff.
Hi, my name is Richard. I am an elementary school teacher with a focus in math and science and special education.
Okay.
How do I? Oh,
We're continuing. Yeah, it's fine.
okay. So thank you guys for coming in with your different point of view, and this is the question for today. So I have two main philosophers, right? There's John Stuart Mill and Alexis de Tocqueville. So John Stuart Mill mentions that representative government is the best government. I'm sure you all know that. The main example is democracy. But he also mentions that two key elements of how the government would succeed is liberty, that includes freedom of expression, speech, and autonomy, as well as progress and sort of challenging yourself and growing intellectually. While Alexis mentions that the tyranny of the majority is his main point, so he goes over how the majority of the people decide the fate of a sort of nation, but that could go either good or bad. So my objective here is to put social media in that mix. As you might know, social media is
Wonderful.
a big part of our, social life. So I would like to see how you guys think that would influence society, and yeah.
I need to articulate my thoughts. Okay.
Okay, so I will start with my point, which is I don't really use social media at all. I don't have Instagram or any kind of social media of that sort. The only one I used to have was Facebook, and that was mainly to check up on some courses and some teachers. Regarding the matter of social media in my personal life, there isn't much I can say about it since it's not present. But I am accosted by many people who want me to get one so they can follow up on me, or like they want me to send me some stuff in simple means like, oh, you should check my Instagram, you should do this, you should do that. Personally, what I feel like it is that social media is in a way to display yourself for others, but at the same time, it becomes less about the deep connection you have with a person, more than you just want to inform everyone in your life about what you're doing, regardless on how in depth how close they are to you. So you put more of a facade. You want more people to look at you in a good light. And what ends up happening with that is that you create a false narrative for yourself and for others about yourself, where you can fall into the trap of, oh, this has become me, and this is how people perceive me, so this is how I must stay. There are many examples of people who have a fake life on Instagram or whatever social media platform they have, where they show body positivity. Oh, all you need to do is one simple thing and everything will be fine. But in the background, with what they don't show the people that follow them are more like the daily workouts they do, the strict eating regimen or diet they follow, so on and so forth. So this kind of thing comes into a problem. And people ask me, why don't I use social media? Why am I against it? I am not against social media. I am against on how people are currently using it. And I do not feel like I would enjoy myself nor would care to be on social media because of it. Currently, if I want to inform any of my friends or anyone specifically about things that are happening in my life, I either send them a message with a picture, a simple text message, a voice note, or the good old just call them up. Granted, a lot of people nowadays don't like calling, which I find weird, but then again, there's a difference between people who have grown up with phones versus people who've grown up with cell phones and social media's presence. So yeah, that's on my personal life so far, how it's taken, and I've seen many examples of where social media's influence has influenced the greater social landscape, which I'll discuss it at a later time.
Yes. Go ahead.
About me, so just like as my friend said, I also don't have a social life. All my social media is for like humor and stuff like memes. What my friend said was very accurate. I also don't like I'm not gonna say it in that way, but like the attention grabbing, the attention like want and need in social media is very like
Relevant,
cringe.
yeah.
It's
Yeah, I can
cringe.
see it.
Seeing like people I know on social media is not so. That's why I don't have a social media, and the whole thing about it is I don't know, like people try and like try to be a parent and flaunt their self just to be known, and I think that really reflects on like how they are as a person, like from the inside and what they've been through. It's sad, so that's why I don't have a social media. So yeah, mostly I use it for like to laugh, maybe like cat pictures, memes. So yeah, that's my view on social media. I don't really like it because of how it's being used, as Richard said. So that's my view on it for now.
Okay. So as a follow-up question, you both mentioned that you're not very active in social media. Do you think that's a view, because we're all here very young, we're all like pretty young.
Pretty young, yeah.
Pretty young.
Do you
Relatively
think-
young, yeah.
Do you think that sort of disconnecting from social media is now the new thing, or do you think that, like, why do you think people like us sort of stop using it?
Well, in me particularly, it's something else.
Sorry, what was that?
But
Like, is there generational?
I don't
difference,
think
or-
so. No. Because even like the younger generation is using social media way more than the previous. Each generation uses it more than the other. So no, I don't think it's going away. I think we're just niche people that don't really use the social media for its uses.
It shows a
I don't
great
know.
sample
I
then.
don't know if Richard is the same. But yeah, I don't use it because I don't really like to like. If I drank a latte, just who cares, honestly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not gonna post about that. I'm not gonna text anyone. No one cares. So I just don't bother.
Rag is not completely off, but he isn't completely on the mark either. The thing is that, yes, the newer generation is currently using social media a lot more than the older generation. Every generation that follows will, or might rather. The reason being is because, in my case, social media was starting. I would say, like, I was in the age where we had the MSN. Sorry,
Yeah.
MSN. It was still newly coming, MySpace, all this. And back then it was like, yo, I made one. We didn't really know what was going on. And not until I was around 16, 17 did I actually make a Facebook. And even then, I didn't really use it as much back then. Just like, posted some stuff that I've made, just like small memory of me and my friends. And my friend list was still below 100, even till now. I didn't really add people. While other my friends like, I have like 300 friends on Facebook. I have 500, and they were just hyping the numbers up. I'm like, you genuinely know and are friends with all 500 of them. They took pause, and they're like, no, I just know them. I'm like, okay, then why do you add them as friends on your Facebook? They told me, because I know them. I'm like, okay. In my case, I just decided, okay, who am I friends with? And not even a year after getting Facebook and adding basically everyone that was in my class at the time and people I knew, I'm like, what's the use of it? So instead, I keep it as a way to remember my friends' birthdays. This was before I even had a phone, but I had the Nokia, which you can save a lot of stuff on your calendar or anything like that. So I would use it as a way to remember my friends' birthdays. And every year I would just remove those that I haven't spoken to or those that I don't feel like I'm close to enough to tell them happy birthday, so I remove it. So I keep it relatively tamed. And from there, what ends up happening, I noticed that now social media has replaced the usual interactions we used to have as kids. Because back then, I remember we'd be on the phone calling each other after class. Like, we'd go home, call each other when we're done, like, yo, I miss you, want to hang out soon or something like that, as we were kids, and trying to make something worth. Now on social media, because you can technically have access to your friend at any moment, you're less likely to engage in this close connection where you focus your time on a specific person, more on how can you spread your image to many people at the same time. Meaning this close connection at a young age to a person is less there. And with this presence, the social media will be more about the self, but at the same time, it's being driven as the self within a community. How can I put myself out there, separate? Like, how can I be an individual within a community kind of deal? Where now, I'm not saying that. So I'm gonna sound a bit off, but this neo-pronoun thing is getting a bit out of hand. Where I respect anyone who wants to identify with their specific pronoun, all power to them. But now people saying, oh, I identify as a cookie, I identify as a demon, I identify as this, as that, has now become, how can I be part of the LGBTQ plus community, but at the same time put myself different than them? Like, now being part of it is cool, it's in the hip, but at the same time, I want to be unique. So how can I differentiate myself? So they are coming up with ridiculous stuff, and this is due to the social media presence in their life and their exposure to such topics. And you know, it's all about the clout, all about the followers, all about how can I put my image out there. Granted, it can work, sometimes it doesn't, but you know.
Okay. So to sort of piggyback off what you just said, obviously some people might say that's a very controversial hot take from you, right? And also one of the main things about social media that I'm trying to discuss in my paper is how these communities sort of come together with just mainly one thing in common. In here is, for example, the LGBTQ, but it could be like something as small as we all played Tetris and back in 5th grade.
Yeah.
And now we're all sort of gonna weaponize this number of people that are very passionate about playing Tetris in their 5th grade, and we're gonna attack anyone or maybe help someone. So I'm just
no
staying unbiased, but that's sort of the segue I want you to go off. And what do you think about like this phenomenon of just like these people who barely know each other, they have one thing in common, they see something that vaguely relates to what they're passionate about, and then stuff happens.
Yeah, cancel culture.
It's one point. It's one point of that.
Yeah.
Rag, if you don't mind me going first, because I have a few examples. You might agree with some, disagree, but we'll see. So I wouldn't say weaponization more than unitization of the people, and moving them within a specific goal tends to be can be used either for good or evil, or evil is a strong connotation, for good or for nefarious purposes. Because what ends up happening is that it could be a source of benefit. For example, Moist Critical is as an example. So he has some. He has shown, just for some small creators, some small stuff. For example, there was a whole idea where I mixed up two different things. It's not Moist Critical. It's PewDiePie. When there was this. When there
the T series.
No, not even the T series.
When he shouted out, like.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that happen. But for example, what he does with his YouTube membership, when people subscribe to his channel with membership joining, he takes all the money gained for that specific month and gives it to a charity every time. Now, sometimes he puts awareness regarding specific topics that he either passionate about or not, and then pushes people to donate, or at least encourages them to. A good streamer that I know that suffers from a lot of medical problems has basically raised awareness regarding it. I'm not going to say a lot of names just so I don't accidentally say something wrong, but because they have so many illnesses and they cannot really get out of the house or do much, they found the comfort in streaming, and the community that was built around this one streamer has become wholesome to an extent that it's quite different. Because I remember during her first subathon, uncapped and everything, she lasted, I think, around over 100 days. I can't remember exactly. And she has made so much money from that subathon, and I think it was all of it that went towards charity. I think it was over $100,000 that went towards charity. Then one of her close friends, who's also a streamer, has made probably, he's done charity, he's done just uncapped stream charity, and he's done some marathon charity, all of them towards the same charity for the immunocompromised people. And this is a very good not weaponization, more than utilization of the following that they have.
I think you're talking specifically. This is what we call the stan culture. Like people
No.
who are
No, it's not stan.
Nah, that's not the stan culture.
You're,
Stan
if
culture
you're
is toxic.
following-
Stan culture will become something else, because that stan means it's
Like
stands
follow,
for
like idolization.
yeah, but it's actually a combination of fan and stalker. So to be a stan is literally stalking someone because you're a fan of them. Yeah, deal.
I mean, the sort of definition kind of boiled down at this point, because now anyone who's a hardcore fan of something is a stan.
Yeah, the
you know.
definition changed a bit. It evolved.
Yeah.
It's less sort of malicious now.
It's evolved. It has evolved.
It has evolved over time, granted, but anyways, no, because the stan would go out of their way doing it by themselves and push it forward. These guys know what they have and want their fans, and they don't force them. They're like, okay, we're doing this. Those who want, great. And what ends up happening, that's a force for good and very well done. And honestly, I support people who do these kind of things. Then there are others that I'm going to talk about NFTs and cryptocurrency, because this is basically where you find the worst of the worst. It's because not all cryptocurrency is bad. That I'm going to say
Yeah.
it from now. But currently, within the crypto sphere and the NFT craze, a lot of high-profile people and who had large followings would scam and knowing that they have such great followings, would scam their own fans to make a butt ton of money just quickly and just leave. And they don't, because it's an unregulated market, they cannot be, there's no due process to stop them. And that is how that's how it can be utilized badly. But there's even worse, where now we come to cancel culture, where basically what ends up happening is that where let's say this one influential person says, okay, you know what, I don't like this person, so we're gonna just cancel everything. Think of the case of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. You had cancellations on all sides. You had people who were canceling Johnny Depp because of the allegations that weren't proven at the time. You had people canceling Amber Heard because of them being with Johnny Depp. Like, you have a few
I'm gonna
things.
interrupt you
Yeah.
right there. Before you go on, can you just give a definition in what you think canceling means? Like, what do you?
So cancellation is more than just like, oh, I don't like this person, I'm not going to talk to them, or I'm not going to follow them. Cancellation is more of trying to find a way to sabotage or to hurt a person more ways than one. So in the case, sometimes it can be good, but not always. So in the case of Johnny Depp, that was a terrible thing, because they basically he was fired from being in the new Pirates of the Caribbean movie from Disney. A lot of people have just dropped him and didn't want to interact with him because of the backlash that he has received, and they don't want it to be perceived on them as well. And it could have been very damaging for his mental health as well, that we are not known. Granted, he has the right to his own privacy. But there's also cancellation of, I would say, a good form of cancellation would be someone like EDP 445. If anyone knows about, if whoever is listening knows, great. If not, the TLDR is that he was a YouTuber or TikToker, I don't know exactly what.
He was a YouTuber.
He was a YouTuber who basically had some attraction to kids.
Minors.
We'll just leave it to kids, minors, whatever.
He just exploited them.
Yeah,
and
and-
was caught in a stink operation, basically.
Yes, he was caught in a sting operation. Granted, due to the form that the sting operation was taken, he could not be arrested. But what happened was that the internet kept track and kept on the tails of EDP 445, making sure that he doesn't find a job, or whenever he went to a streaming platform, they directly ban him, block him, report him, all that.
Mass
To the
ban him.
and to the point that he tried to even just get jobs as like working for Chick-fil-A or something like that.
McDonald's. They tracked him down.
Yeah, they tracked him down
to each hotel that he went to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They wouldn't let him live. Now, would I say that's too much? I would say so, because if the guy cannot survive, cannot get back on his feet a bit so he can earn a living and at the same time find help to basically for what he has done, then that's a bit too much. But to the point of not allowing him to be, at least he should be known to the public, as well as you're aware of what he has done. But because of how things are going, this is going a bit to the extreme. But now apparently he has resurged at the lesser extent. I don't
On TikTok. No, I think that's not going too far. He should be imprisoned.
I mean, yeah, he should be in prison, but due to the way this thing was done,
I mean,
it could not be done.
that's why they're canceling him to that point. No money, no food, no shelter.
Yeah,
no
but then
nothing, so-
you're basically giving him a death sentence, which then this is a whole different topic we end up in.
Yeah,
I think it's actually within the topic because
Death sentences.
no, let's just calm down. But I just wanted to throw in the fact that and my chosen philosopher sort of point of view is that the government should take off the punishment, right, and upkeeping the laws in the society, but also any legislation, which means what punishment should be given to any crime, should be decided by the people or the public,
The public
So,
should basically
yeah.
agree on a
Exactly. So
form
here
of punishment per person.
There's the dilemma of that the people, the government, the police enforcement did nothing, even though we have sort of enough kind of evidence
it is enough
to
evidence.
incriminate him. But now the people, the majority on the internet, are upholding that punishment, which people might think it's extreme. People might think it's an extreme crime, so
Yeah.
he deserved it. So I think it's within.
Yeah,
the,
fair enough. Now,
sphere.
if you're saying you're saying that your philosopher stated, you said your philosopher stated that it's the whole society that should decide on the punishment per crime.
One of the things. Yeah, legislation.
One of the things, yes. That is actually quite difficult. What do you think, Ryan?
Well, I think because a jury exists, right?
Yes.
Of course, but what you're saying is that a jury should exist on social media, so they should
The court of people.
basically, yeah. I think that's a bit too lenient because as an example, I killed your dog, right? For example, the public would hate that. The public would hate me. They would probably kill him. And so if the majority says that, they'll kill me. And killing a dog does not need a death sentence. Another point is that there's a lot of trolls on the internet. And so, I'll give an example. There was a contest for a cereal company.
Many contests.
Yeah, for a cereal company. It's okay, choose this. Do you want the vegetable
It
flavored
was
cereal?
It was green onions and chocolate.
Yeah, green onions and
yeah.
chocolate. And so the trolls came in. It's green onions, and the company had to trash the millions of cereal boxes that they had prepared beforehand because who would vote for green onions? And so they went for the green onions. So if that happened in the court, that would be problematic because you might just killing off people because the people said so.
Yeah, there's also the nothing wrong Mountain Dew drink.
There's a lot.
Yeah, there's
a lot.
many.
Like,
Trolls
even
have done too much.
Talking about EDP, now this is going back to autonomy and whatnot. A community can make a presence of themselves completely autonomously. EDP was attracted to minors, and so a lot of people that were attracted to minors came up and was oh, okay, our love is valid, love is love. And so they made a pride flag and everything. It's oh, okay, we're a valid community now.
Yeah, they tried to integrate themselves in the LGBTQ.
Yeah.
LGBTQ. Jesus, I can't pronounce things anymore.
And so,
Alphabet.
that's a problem. Imagine just okay, I'm attracted to minors now. Oh, there's a community for me. Okay, and so they grow and grow with all this autonomously in social media, and so giving the people, okay, that went on a bit of a tangent, but giving the people this much power is not really a good thing, I would say.
Agreed.
If I might add one more thing that
Yes.
I think would sort of keep this conversation going is that, again, John Stuart Mill mentions the harm principle, which is basically you're good as long as you don't harm people. And that's where your sort of liberty or freedom stops. I think that's with it, because when we're talking about EDP, obviously there are minors involved in the mix. So that includes harming them. So that's why the punishment, because he sort of he's hurting others and society. So I think keeping this in mind, you can go on with the conversation.
I mean, yeah, the freedom of your freedom stops on the freedom of others, or something
Yes,
like
the
that.
golden rule.
The golden rule. So like, of course. But as I said, I still stand on my point.
Yeah, because at the same time, not everyone can be a lawyer because you need to do so many, go through so many years, go through bar exams, so on and so forth. And each district has different laws. Now, if you want to combine that all into one universal law, that's not going to work because what happens is that if you go universal law for everyone that agrees on the topic, that's going to be way too hard to do. And if you're just going to go community-wise, that's even harder. That's still hard because in a community you have many different people with biases and no, it cannot happen. It's not this. It's not this. Not that. For example, EDP, even though they had proof, due to the fact of the way it was conducted, they could not because it seemed more than so. For example, police officers cannot entice. So a criminal can go free on enticement, where the policeman could be like, "Yo, you want to buy drugs? I got drugs. No, come." And even let's say the criminal says no first, and he's like, "No, come on, I got a sweet deal for you," and he basically entices him to do the crime. Then he cannot be prosecuted. Similarly, this is similar to what happened with EDP. So these small things is a
This is turning into an EDP.
no, because he's the example we use. But basically, pushing people into doing specific crimes. Not everyone knows specifically this law, so people might be like, "Oh, he's guilty," without actually knowing everything leading up to it. That's why you have a general jury of different people, and supposedly
Experts, basically.
the lawyers are the experts. You have a jury for the normal people as well as the experts who have gone through everything, making it simple for the everyday person to judge whether or not someone's guilty or not. Now, we have different. Don't forget, we're talking about legislations, and the whole community should decide. There's a lot of things where it can go wrong because other than just criminal cases, you have you have both criminal cases and.
What are you talking about?
I'm thinking it's like basically the marriage court and stuff like that, where there's no criminal and guilty, non-guilty. But more like now it becomes on the, let's say, marriage and the child custodies. All this, you have a lot of legal things that come into it. You have a lot of factors that fall upon it. Now, if everyone is willing to do whatever they need, or if you wait for everyone to give their results, you have people who want kids that would be like. If let's say a guy who wants kids would say give it to the guy to the dad, even though if he's not the best he's not the best caretaker. Similarly for women, if she's not the best caretaker and this happens, some people cannot separate their biases from the objective truth or the objective facts of the matter. So there's a lot of these that come into consideration. That's why you have judges and you have so many years. They must make sure, because even if a judge shows a simple form of bias, he can be disbarred because of it. Well, at least in the States. And there's a lot of problems that are coming in the States. I'm not going to get into this because this is a whole different debate. But see, what do you think, Rada?
I think the public should have an influence, just like a slight influence, because as you said in Johnny Depp, the social media had a lot of say in it. And they even brought it up in court. That Amber Heard brought it up in court. Like, oh my God, look what they did. They're threatening to kill my kids, put them in a microwave or something like that. So they should be able to influence, but not have decisive decisions and judges and not judges decisions, whatever there's on. Because as we said, if we give them power, actual power, people are crazy, man. People would go out of their way to harm others for no reason and stuff. So just give them an influence. Okay, I'll hear your opinion, but there's no act upon it. Because on TikTok and whatnot, there's a lot of challenges that people do.
Oh yes.
Just to harm others, just to laugh at them and whatnot. I don't know if I can give you a challenge right now, but there's.
I don't know a TikTok challenge, but I do know an internet challenge. It appeared in Russia. It was called the Blue Whale Challenge. Yes.
Oh yeah, those.
Any of those challenges, there's NyQuil cooking
Yeah,
challenge.
yeah,
There was the
NyQuil,
Tide
oh,
Pod.
right.
Okay, that was
No,
that was a troll.
Tide
It was.
Pods,
It
so-
started as a troll.
Yeah, but then social
traditional media.
pushed it
Yeah.
forward, and then the kids
Dumb
are like,
people.
"Oh, let's dumb people and kids mainly."
Yeah.
Started pushing it. It's like, "Oh, let's do this." And,
Oh, yeah, and the Tide Pod, and the like licking ice cream and putting it back in.
Ah,
oh yeah, the
There's a,
COVID
there's a lot
challenge.
of
Yeah.
and, like licking toilets and hand like
Yeah.
like okay, people are crazy and people would do that
Yeah,
even if there are consequences. So
But
I
do
don't.
you think that that's just because a lot of social media, their whole deal is engagement,
Yeah.
and the sort of the highest, the
Engage-
higher the controversy,
Yeah.
the higher the engagement.
Attention,
So
basically.
this could it
Yeah.
be that the internet is fine, the people are fine. It's just that select few that are controversial that rise to the top.
So,
and give
I mean,
that-
yeah, there are cores.
Yeah, there are basic cores that push it forward,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it has been. I'm trying to remember which news article stated, but they found that basically Facebook and I think Twitter was it that pushed more outrageous topics out to the public, so they get more engagement. But even then, that's ridiculous, and due to the fact that social media is prevalent, anyone can get a voice on it and push their narrative forward, whatever it may be. You tend to have just a bunch of crazy things that pop up that you thought, oh, okay, things are fine. For example, the anti-vaxxers have come back in force. Measles, for example, resurged in the U.S. because of the spread of the fake, or actually the falsely reported relation between the mRNA. I forgot.
mRNA.
No. The mRNA vaccine.
mRNA.
mRNA vaccine and
DNA.
and the measles mRNA vaccine, measles vaccine and autism. There was a false link between them, and it was disproven within the 5 years after the study was made. But because no one really looked into the disproven point of it, they just took it as fact, and then people join, oh, this person's anti-vaxxers, let's see why they're anti-vaxxers. And because you have your own biases regarding anti-vaxxing, you jump in, and when you read it, you're like, oh, so it is true. And then you'll push your belief of anti-vaxxing onto others. Similar thing with the flat Earth. Even if disproven, they say, oh, we got an error because of this. They've actually done a study where, like, if the Earth was flat, we should get this result. But if it was a sphere, we would get a different result. And guess what? They got the sphere result, and they just said, "Oh, we got due to like the heavenly rays and stuff like that." So is because by this point they're so neck deep into the community and the social aspect of the flat Earth theory and community that no matter what ends up happening, they do not want to leave that community, that social presence
That's
that
a
they found through social media.
Yeah.
Though that you can argue that's a fault on the education system, but you know, I'm not gonna say it's neither here nor there because the ones I've seen were mainly from the U.S. I don't think I've heard people in Europe talking about that. But then again, this is from where the most presents have been shown.
I think social media gives voices to people that shouldn't have voices.
Rather,
Echoes.
it microphones or the loudspeakers.
Like I pulled up Alex Jones, right?
Yeah. Oh.
And when you said like anti-vax,
Yeah. Classic Alex Jones. The
turning the frogs gay.
Yeah.
So
Actually,
that's
that is a whole
who cares if the frogs are
controversy
gay or
about
not?
big pharma.
Yeah.
Who cares about if
I
the
went
frogs are
down-
gay or not?
Listen,
No one
I
cares.
went down that rabbit hole. I watched the 2-hour documentary.
I mean, no, I just gave this
Some of it
as an
is
example.
true,
I
but
mean,
the correlations
Yeah. Correlation is not
are
causation.
Yeah.
yes, but you know the study might not be that false. It's a whole.
It's a whole thing, but that's the thing.
roller coaster.
I'm not talking about turning
On
the frogs
social-
gay.
yeah.
I'm talking about Alex Jones and how he
Yeah,
spread those
how- yeah, exactly.
The thing on social media,
conspiracies.
people just read the title, they're like, oh my god, this happened, without reading more into
And spread
it
it.
or reading the full article.
They formed the
So
assumption.
they form the assumption and then they misremember it and spread it separately. Because I remember there was something like, can eating 3 small squares of chocolate equal a day at the gym? It's like,
What?
Well,
Sorry.
it has no correlation whatsoever because the research was shown. They tested for the women with pregnancy and how much calories they lost depending on what they ate, stuff like that. There was a whole correlation, and all they did was they read at some point they took the chocolate part with the with the calories burnt, and then someone else took it and say calories burnt with gym. Okay, so you lose as much as it
Connected
became.
the dots.
Yeah, they couldn't. They just tried throwing whatever at it, and it just became stupid.
Okay.
It didn't gain traction, but it became stupid.
I would like sort of now to delocate you guys because we've been talking a lot about mainly U.S. based.
Okay.
right?
Well, they're the most relevant on our social media.
Yeah.
On social media.
Exactly, which is sort of an issue
Yes.
because
The West is cringe.
but also the West is popular and
Yeah,
we
it's good.
idolize it and well,
Yeah.
subconsciously.
In general.
Subconsciously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would like to turn your attention into all of what we're said, but make it in the MENA region, specifically in Lebanon, specifically not in Lebanon. Whatever
just
you have the most
information.
confidence.
Social media in Lebanon.
I mean, whatever information we might have regarding the
Exactly.
matter.
So like I'm from Morocco. I have a couple stories about how social media right now, as of like yesterday, there was this article that showed that these two military gentlemen were Algerians wearing the military uniform, and they posted a TikTok saying, "Oh, good luck at the Atlas Lions, let's go Morocco," and celebrating while dancing, whatever, TikTok. And turns out, after sharing it with a couple Algerian friends, they said that so the media outlets said that they're facing jail time because of that video, like approximately 10 years.
Yeah.
And as you might know, Morocco versus Algeria, pretty
Pretty nice.
historical feud.
Pretty nice.
Exactly. Yes.
They're friendly.
But
There's can be said some stuff.
I mean, friction. But after asking my Algerian friends, turns out that it's completely false, and it's just sort of propagating that sort of they're enemies and
You should hate
they're
each other.
bad.
You
or-
should hate each other.
Yeah.
Exactly. Look at them. Like the government is putting people in jail because they posted a TikTok. So this is one of the stories how the media or sort of social media is influencing politically, in Morocco. Do you have any sort of tale of tales
Well,
or anecdote?
Obviously, each like political party in Lebanon has a TV station.
Yeah, that's
So,
one thing.
whoa.
And plus, if you're gonna talk politics and name one specific party here,
I'm dead.
they're just gonna knock at the door like, "Yo, we heard something." So
Black SUVs,
Yeah.
come in.
God
So
damn.
we're gonna avoid political talk, but just social media presence in Lebanon
Is it
specifically. It would be,
It's
especially
very-
when it comes in, when you're talking about those that don't really have for monolingual people in social media, I cannot speak for, but for multilingual people, mainly those that can speak English, tend to have their influence on the West, and
Yeah.
that causes friction with their purely Lebanese or at least Arab roots. Because, for example, due to religious beliefs being more lenient over time, especially in the West compared to here, what ends up happening due to the influence that the younger generations get from the West, if they're influenced at all, it can cause friction between them and between the kids and the parents. For example, I'm not gonna name who or what, but I know some of my friends who come from a Muslim background with very religious parents identify with LGBTQ, but their parents would disown them the moment they thought of it.
Yeah.
So this has it's enforcing a form of like they have the liberty to be who they are outside, but as soon as it comes inside, it's a lot more strict. So it's in one way, social media allowed them to find out more about themselves, but at the same time, due to the fact that they're here, they cannot really explore it that deep. For one point, another thing I remember from social media happened. I think the year right before Corona or the year of Corona, where what ended up happening was there was allegations regarding this one guy who slept with this girl because she posted either on Instagram or on TikTok, I can't remember, that this guy raped her, ma بعرف شو. and everyone just jumped on the bandwagon to get him canceled and reject his university application to McGill or something, someplace and like everyone just jumped and like send them emails saying this. I'm like, whoa, why did you just directly assume that the guy's guilty?
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. Everyone jumped on social media. Be on social media. She's a girl. Claimed that guy raped her. I know neither of them, so I'm like, what? Let me hear his side of the story, and let's see which one seems more plausible. In both cases, at the end, I don't because they settled it privately. We don't know the official results, or at least I'm not aware of. And this was a big thing at the time, but at the same time, social media has, or the internet genuinely has a life cycle that is very, very short. Rag, I think you can agree to this, that you have outrage. If it lasts more than 2 days, anything that follows those 2 days of that intensity usually dies down pretty quickly.
Yeah, a short attention span on people.
Yeah.
That's also another consequence of a lot of social media. And
Yeah.
And like, yeah, what you said like about the West, influencing us in Lebanon, Lebanon. I don't think it's necessarily bad or good, because the West doesn't have a lot of good cultures.
They don't have culture.
They don't have culture at all.
For legal reasons, that is a joke.
Yeah, we're using it as a
I
joke.
don't care.
It's a hyperbole.
No, it's not. I
They
can say
murdered
that. I
everyone who
don't.
had
I
the
can say
culture.
that. I don't care. So I don't think that spreading whatever they spit out or whatever they churn out to everyone around them is really that good. It's mostly because the history of America isn't really that good. Colonizers. So yeah, I think that's one aspect of social media I really hate, is that the amount of influence that that they put out in Lebanon mostly. Now I'm not talking about like gay rights and whatnot. No, of course those are good stuff, but I'm talking about everything else. Like I don't know, deep frying everything. Yeah, that's bad.
I mean, yeah.
Deep fried ice cream is
It's something.
monstrosity.
It's something.
So yeah. Whenever like those like bad values come to us, I really blame social media.
Yeah,
and our
no, I
intake
agree
of
with
it.
that point.
Yeah.
For example, the spoiledness of the kids, because in the West they can have a lot more.
Yeah, they can't hit kids in the West. That's so cringe. Imagine not getting beaten up by your parents.
I mean, look how we're function. We're fine. We're normal. We don't have any seating paranoia regarding our parents hitting us. No, nothing of the sort.
No, you should beat up your children. No,
Again, for legal reasons.
That's a joke.
I must put as a disclaimer, as an educator myself, I do not
not
agree
hit
with
children.
corporal punishment. It's just based on we're just joking around here. But yeah, no, I was raised. I was lucky enough to be the only one of my brothers who did not get hit except once from my mom.
Lucky. Anyway, what?
Same.
Yeah, I was just lucky. My brother, oh my god, I'm not gonna start with that.
Yeah.
But right now in the U.S. they don't do that, which you can argue is bad or good. I would say it's neither here nor there. But the problem is more that the parents, just on social media. Oh, actually, speaking of.
Oh, the gentle parenting.
Yeah, no, I just remembered about this family, family on YouTube posted about their kid and when they lost their dog or something like that, if you remember.
Ah, like the one he told him like cry.
Yeah,
for
just
the-
cry on
yeah.
camera?
Try for
Yeah,
the camera.
yeah,
Yeah,
the
she
camera.
posted everything, and that it's not good for the students, the kids' mental health. It's not good for just in general. So now there seems to be a lot of problems within the West because parents don't want to be parents anymore. More than we're going to use our kid to generate
It's
revenue.
exploitation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exploitation of the kids, and some of them don't want to be parents or don't even know how to be parents. So I mean, there's this radical idea of you need a license to be a parent. I'm not gonna say I agree, but I can see why I can
Yeah.
agree.
I think like that goes like for our countries.
Yeah.
Nah.
Like except like the problem comes from very different sort of issues,
Yeah.
like social issues. While
Yeah.
the West found a way to exploit their kids on social media, I think
They want to show
us we
the
found a
perfect
way to
family.
exploit the kids in different
In
other
labor, in labor.
yeah, in labor, like
Yeah.
even mentally speaking, like
Yeah, no, because social media presence now it's like, oh, who's the better family? Who's better? Da, 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 whose kid is happier?
It's
Whose kids has?
superficial.
Yeah, it's like okay, as soon as I got the picture and moving forward, because I've seen. I can speak from not personal experience, but I've seen people close to my family from the West, specifically from the U.S., or at least living in the U.S. I can't go into details due to many reasons, but I've seen. Basically one of the parents at least whose sole she couldn't care, well, the mom, I'm gonna say, didn't care about really her kids. She just wanted the American life, just leaving this country and whatnot. So as soon as because she saw her friends who were already in the US, she saw like, oh, the life outside Lebanon is great, I need to find myself outside there, blah 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 blah, blah. There's a lot of the random stuff due to social media she wanted. She's like, oh, I'll get the family and everything. Family life is not what she expected from what she saw on social media. And yeah, a lot of problems led from there forward, but I'm not going to get into those details because it will be tangential to this.
There's a lot
topic.
of facades
Yeah.
and the internet that people believe and they're disappointed. There's something called the Paris syndrome that when people went to Paris and they got so depressed because it's not what they expected.
Yeah, I can vouch for that.
Mostly Japanese people because they idolize.
Yeah,
France.
no,
okay.
going to France is Paris is
It's mid.
Paris is actually subpar.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's that people want to live up to those facades, and when they don't, they either cope with something else, like go into another branch of social media, or they just get depressed, and so. And that's the type of attention, like grabbing to attention, hoarding that.
At the end of the day, social media is a double-edged sword, but recently or more oftenly used for evil than good.
Actually, talking about that, you know the whole Twitter thing, right? Well,
Which one? There's a many.
A lot of Twitter.
Elon Musk.
Yes.
Which
Actually,
one?
wait,
Which one of the stuff?
Before we move on,
Yeah.
I would just like to include that for Mill's point of view, that education is one of the most like important things.
I
you
have to
mentioned
agree.
how this sort of trend in parenting would definitely influence how the kid would grow up, and obviously the education does not come from school only. So
Comes from
parents
everywhere,
play a huge part of it. And yeah, I just wanted to like highlight that, for the philosophy part. I come here with the philosophy.
I mean, if we veer too much off the topic, you can bring us back.
Exactly.
No,
So
but-
I'm just like, whenever you say something, I
Yeah.
link it back to my topic.
Regarding education, I can put a lot, but first finish.
I
with the-
disagree because teens are rebellious, whatever education you have. So teens just care about their self-image and their self-perception around them,
Hey,
with the
touch
people
what
around
you're
them.
saying. Oh, it's not rebellious.
Not sure that was
it's
not.
I mean, to be fair,
Like in general, like if you're a teen on social media, you're gonna
teen on
fucking
social
You
say
just
media.
want to fit in,
fit in,
with the
flaunt
popular
yourself.
clique or whatever.
which
it
is
is.
Yeah,
not necessarily
put
what
yourself
your
out there.
parents
Exactly.
Yeah, so regardless of education, I think teens are rebellious. Even like not even like in this age of social media.
Yeah,
Like, way
even
back then.
before it.
Every
But
generation, every teen generation is rebellious.
a lot of people would end up rebellious in their teen phase. It's because they start growing, hormones started applying. So now they try to be more autonomous. They want to be their own person. Independent, exactly. So they want to form. Okay, who is the people I'm going to be surrounding myself with, kind of deal. Now, I'm not going to talk about myself because in my teens, barely any social media was present, so I can't really talk about that. But what I can talk about is current kids with social media presence, because an educator myself, I have noticed even basic sentence structures I used to write as a kid is completely different than what they are writing now. For example, I play football, I do this, I do that. When you have to put a verb or write a sentence with a specific word.
أكل الولد التفاح.
Yeah, basically. Now it's like talking about Roblox, talking about
Fortnite.
Fortnite is one of them, but also it's like, I looked, I got this many likes on Instagram. I'm like, you're 6. How do you have an Instagram?
Yeah.
Oh my
Of course,
that
I did
is
not-
Definitely against the.
Against terms of service, but that's the thing. So can they prove it? No.
True.
Because Instagram is not going to monitor every single thing, and you can always lie when you're making an account. Though, funny enough, it is illegal to do so. But anyways, moving on.
Who cares?
Regarding social media in a kid's life, I would say introduce them to a smaller version of social media with their just small friends group that you can create and monitor. So instead, there is a focus on a small community instead of the full-on internet in general. They should start with, because if, let's say, they go on Instagram, a few swipes downwards or right or whatever. I don't know how Instagram works. You might end up going from basically a harmless friends, or like say you're following your parent, right, and they're following some third person that you don't know, and what? Oops, sorry. There's this huge blood on the beach out of nowhere that was liked from your dad. I mean, as a 6-year-old, you're not gonna want to see that, you know. Nor as a teenager, you're looking at that. It's like, I didn't need to know my dad likes these things. But yeah, this will affect how the child grows, and I wouldn't say it's purely bad, but rather you need to be the parent needs to be well educated regarding what internet usage is, different communities that exist, and introduce it in a well-mannered way to their kids regarding how social media works. Because right now we're on the age of where scamming has become some of the easiest thing possible. Because if you look at some headlines, you have like kid max out parents' credit card buying V-Bucks or whatever. There were many cases. There was a kid that spent 600 euros from their mom's credit card on Roblox. There was another one that spent, I think, $2,100 on V-Bucks, and so on and so forth. And knowing that this is so easy, because the kid now knows how to use a credit card, what ends up happening is that, let's say, oh, I like this one thing that they saw on social media, but now you need to go through, let's say, the survey. Then you need to put in your parents' credit card. You put in the parents' credit card to, let's say, buy this one game. You could have just the kid could have fallen into a scam. So. Yeah. Even like kids become smarter, they know how to work around firewalls, especially if given the chance, and they're gonna go around. Trust me, I've done it myself. Especially as a kid, when my mom started blocking some gaming what's it called, websites like Miniclip and stuff like that. But yeah, monitoring is the main point that needs to be done, and it's not that social media is bad, it's the parents need to know how to monitor their kids and introduce it slowly to their kids so they don't be absorbed or influenced by it as much.
Yeah, I think kids shouldn't be like alone on the internet.
Yeah.
Just be a parent, basically.
I think
Be a parent, yeah.
I think the usual, as far as I'm aware, the usual discourse when it comes to that is that shifting the blame between the parents and the companies.
Yeah.
The parents would be like, but you shouldn't let my child be on your platform. The company is like,
There's
want
nothing
my
we
money.
can do.
It's
No.
a private company, so like you can't tell
ridiculous.
it to.
It's not even that. It's in the case where, let's say, they want to do that. Guess what? The only way you can prevent the kid from doing that is literally having the parent screenshot their ID and everything when you want to make an account. But then that becomes that's a whole
breach
legal
of
issue. No, that's a
privacy.
whole legal different topic that we are not going to enter, because this is not something
It's
any.
taking too long.
No,
We
not
should
yeah, but
probably-
we're three people with no what's it called, legal background, so we can't really opine
Yeah.
on the legal aspect of it. But ethically speaking, it's a big no-no.
Yeah, parents blaming private companies for like their children using like their services is ridiculous. You're their parents, not them. So like if you want to monitor their usage of the internet, you should do it and not them, and that's stupid.
Yeah.
Basically, and that's like the short
I
TLDR.
think we should wrap it up.
Yeah, sorry.
This is enough. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
For
No, thank you for having
giving
us.
your perspective.
Yeah, I was an amazing co-host. I'm
Guest.
not a co-host.
You're a
Guest,
guest,
yeah,
man.
guest. That's the word. That's the word.
I mean, we could make this staple, whatever you
I
like.
mean,
I enjoy
hey,
it.
you're the host. It's your choice.
How many points did I get?
You get 3 points. He gets 2 points.
Because I went for
minus
too long.
one. Yeah,
Because I went
minus
too
one.
long.
Hey, yeah, I'm good with me.
Hey.
Okay, cut.
Cut.
cut. How do it?
Damn.